Watch your folks, 965 here again. This is a quick video basically showing the steps that are involved in making one of these, which is the antenna mast guy support collar. Only thing I can think to call it really. Quite a few people asked if I could do a how-to on how it's made and what's involved, so I have. This one is slightly different to the original. You might remember I said I'd cut a load of plates, welded them together, drilled the hole. A few people asked if it could be done a different way, and the answer is yes. This one's made from pipe, as you'll see in the video later on. It's 3 adjusting screws in this one, as opposed to the original, which was just a drop-on. So this one is adjustable for mast size, and then just the 3 rings as per the other. So this video will show you all the necessary steps, what's involved. I tried to do some through the welding helmet shot so you could actually see what was going on with the welding. Didn't come out as well as I'd hoped. I've just ordered some magnifying lenses for the inside of my welding helmet, so hopefully I'll be able to do some through the helmet welding shots in better detail shortly. And a few people have said, oh, is there any chance we can actually see what's going on while you're welding? So I'm going to try and do it as best I can. But anyway, so I had a spare hour, so I've chucked it together, and let's get on.
Okay, so all we're doing here is we're cutting off the hook portion of the, well, they were actually old luggage straps, I think, ratchet strap hooks. Doing it in real time. So you can see I do use hand tools from time to time, and it doesn't really take any effort. Fresh blade, and you're straight through. There we go, that's all 3 of them cut, and we'll put an angle on those with the grinder. Simple linisher, just a belt sander essentially, and I'm just grinding a bit of a diagonal angle, sort of 45 degrees if you like, and that'll help me to position it on the collar itself. There we go, nice and simple. Okay, so we're going to cut off a portion of pipe here for the collar itself. The saw that I'm using here is a Evolution Rage 3S. It's a cold cut saw, hardly any sparks you get off it at all. It's a compound mitre saw, and it will cut metal, all wood, pipe, the lot. So very handy piece of kit. I have got a big Sealy chop saw, but it's out on loan at the moment, so we brought the Rage into use. And there we go, all done, nice clean cut. It does give a lot of metal shavings, but that's to be expected. So I've thrown it in the lathe. I'm just going to clean it up so it's nice and well, clean basically, ready for welding. You could do it with a grinder, you could do it with a piece of sandpaper, but I've got a lathe, so why not? Chuck it in the lathe, and you can see there just how clean and how good a job it does. Change the angle of the tool here, just to put a slight chamfer to take off the sharp edge. Just a light touch, just to break that corner. And that's it. So those are 3 parts ready for welding. Next thing to do is to mark the position of the holes for the adjusting screws. So we're going to come in there, I think it was 10mm from the top. We'll throw it back on the lathe to transfer the line all the way around the part. Very handy, there you go. There's the line all the way around. Okay, so I've marked the 3 positions for the adjusting screws, and then I'll offset the hooks in between those, and I'm just going to mark on now where I want to put the centre dot for each hole. And there we go, that's it. Nice and simple, and we'll put a centre dot where those lines cross using a centre punch, which is what we've got here. Just a simple centre punch and a hammer, You don't have to use an anvil, that's completely compulsory, but I've got one, so that's what I use. It's only a little anvil, but it still weighs about 45-50 kilos, if not a bit more. And there we go. Move over, there we go. All done, ready to put on the pillar drill. There's a top tip for you. Make sure your vise is nice and clear, free of shavings, so that you don't get any bits that could cause it to go off centre. And same with your chucks, really. Clean your chucks out before you put your bits in it, and you'll get a nice centralised part. Just using a centre drill there to give a nice starter hole, if you like. You could use any drill, small drill, something like a 3 or a 4 mil would be fine. But the centre drills don't wander; they don't wander off. Pointing out there that I've left the chuck key in. That's a really bad habit of mine. Never leave the chuck key in anything, your drill or your lathe or anything at all, because if you forget, you fire that up, that comes flying out at a rate of knots, and can cause some hefty damage. So always take your chuck keys out. So we're just going in here now. I think that's a 6 mil drill. So we're just going to drill the holes out using a 6 mil, and then we'll come in a bit later on and use the 8.5 mil drill, which is required for an M10 thread. I have sped this up slightly. I left it all running so you could see it all happening. So you just drill the 3 holes in the locations you've marked, and you'll be good to go. And again, he leaves the chuck key in the chuck. Not good. So there we go, there's the 8.5 mil drill. There's a very handy book that will tell you all the drills required for certain threads. That's it there, the Zeus book. And it's still left sped up, but I will show you a close-up of that after we've done these larger holes. That incidentally is a Sealy 12-speed pillar drill. Someone did ask me before, and it's always set to its lowest speed for drilling metal. There we go. I'm just going to put a larger centre drill in here just to use the countersink portion of it, just to take the raggedy edges off. You could use a larger drill. You could go in with a big 13 mil drill if you wanted to, but having a tapered countersink is a much nicer job. There we go. So there's the Zeus book. You can see the diameters on the left and the appropriate drills on the second from right column. That makes sure you get the right drill for tapping the thread, which is what we're doing now. That's an M10 tap that I've got there with a bit of a non-conventional tap tool. I actually broke my my tap tool, so I resorted to using some moleys. So you wind it round and then you wind it back slightly like that, just to break the chips, and then you can wind it on through. Now obviously it's not very much material, so it didn't take very long to wind the tap down through there, and I actually didn't realise how close to the end I was and dropped the tool. Clever boy. So there we go, we'll whip it out, we'll just tidy it up a little bit, and I will show you the thread in the material. As I say, it's not very thick material, so there's only probably a couple of threads in there, but it's enough to secure it to a mast. If you wanted a bigger thread, you can easily use thicker material, or of course you could weld a nut on the outside, but I think that looks a bit unsightly. There you go, nicely done. And obviously we do that on all 3 holes. We're going to clean up the raggedy edges there with a file on the inside as well as on the outside. Don't want any sharp edges. And we're just about ready to get the welder out, but I'm just going to check the thread with the actual bolt. There it is, an M10 cap head screw, or Allen key bolt, whichever you want to call it, and that fits a treat. Okay, let's crack up the welder. So here is what I was telling you about. It's not, obviously at the moment it's reasonably clear. It's an auto darkening helmet. I'm using my spare helmet to do the welding. And those splodges you see appearing on the table, that's actually spray oil. I always spray threads before I do any welding. If you get any spatter on those threads, you're going to struggle to clean it out, and it's going to mess up your job. So we're going to weld it from the underside first. A thing you've got to remember with welding is when you put a weld on, it will pull the material towards the weld. So I've got the angle pretty much where I want it, but I know that when I weld this, the heat of the weld will actually pull that in slightly towards the part, which is why I'm welding it from the underside first. And say it was supposed to be quite a clear view of the welding, but due to the proximity of the camera, I think I need to get it a bit closer, which we will do next time. Someone asked me about the welding table. Why have I never got an earth clamp on my part? The reason is that the table is steel, it's very clean, and the part is all very clean, and the earth clamp is actually on the table, which allows you a bit more freedom to move the part around. As long as you've got a good contact with that table, you'll get a good earth for the welding. And as you can see there, it's working fine. Now the welder is a bit old. It does struggle a little bit now and again with its wire feed. It's a Kubora 180 MIG welder, and now and again the wire feed does hesitate, which causes the wire to attach itself to the tip, and I think that does happen shortly. See, it's struggling a bit there. We're just putting on a second pass on each one now, just to reinforce it. It's not really required, but again, it's something I always like to do. It doesn't take any time at all. It's a very quick process, MIG welding. So yeah, the welder itself, as I say, is quite old now. It has had a new earth clamp put on it, a new earth cable that I fitted, new gas feed line, new torch. So it's all very good, but it is getting a bit tired now. And I think on one of these welds you actually see in it the wire hesitates, and it actually burns back to the tip and gets a bit stuck. It's that one. There you go. So a couple of taps on the table, and it frees itself. So there we go. We're not far from the end now. We're just about there. That's really all there is involved. It doesn't take much time. Took me about an hour from start to finish. Obviously that's the actual time, with the camera work and everything else. So all in all, probably takes you about 40 minutes to make that. And that's about it, really. I have got some pictures coming up to show you the part in a bit more detail. But, that's essentially everything done. So I hope that was what you wanted to see. And there we go, some pictures coming along now of the actual part itself. And I'll hand you back to Mr. 965.
Okay, so there you go. That's the collar done, made. Another one. You can modify it and adapt it any way you want to use it for yourselves. You could use 4 guy rings. You could use 5, guy rings. Entirely up to you. Someone did ask me actually if you could make it out of aluminium. Now, you could make it out of aluminium. That collar in the centre there, you could use a piece of aluminium billet like I've got there, bore out the centre to the diameter you want, and you could make some rings out of aluminium if you wanted to. I personally wouldn't do it out of ali, mainly because of the way it wears. It's a soft material. It does make it easier to work with, but it does mean it wears easier. So if you've got something like a carabiner attached to there, as that wears or rubs, it's going to wear the aluminium away, and the last thing you want is to be worried that that is going to sort of break, because if it does, you know, and you've got an expensive antenna up on the mast, he'd be coming down. So I wouldn't do a bit of Wiltshire creeping in there. I wouldn't personally use aluminium myself. I don't know if you can see up behind me there, I've just finished watching one of 104's videos, and on the 27th and 28th of this month, which is actually next weekend, better get sorted out for that. Next weekend we've got a weekend of radio, all weekend, Saturday and Sunday probably. You've got the usual Sunday DX on the Sunday, but on Saturday there is the anniversary of legal AM and SSB in the UK. So there's quite a few people going to be out. There's quite a few clubs, if you like, going to be out. You've got the Charlie Tango. We're going to be putting out a CTX 000 event station from Wales, 163 division. I think Tom is going to be doing a 26 CTX 000 from Shropshire. I think he's going to be out, and there's going to be a lot of others. So the big net, as Delboy likes to call it, will be running. So call in. Probably going to shout from 27275 upper side and QSY from there. Bit of PMR, bit of FM probably on the Sunday, and call in if you can. So check out the Charlie Tango Facebook page. There'll be some info on there. Check out the CTX Facebook page if you haven't already. We're up on there, and of course the forum. So I'm going to get a brew on. In fact, I've actually got one here, surprisingly enough. I'll catch you on the next one. Probably be from Wales. See you guys.